Hello, everybody. It's Tom Chenault. And hi, Denise. How are you this morning?
Morning, honey.
Yesterday, you guys, it was 64 degrees in Denver. Today, it is snowing. It's a blizzard. And on Monday, it's going to be 62. Colorado is the most beautiful state you ever want to come to. And it's just like your network marketing business. You don't know from day to day what it's going to be like, but it's always an adventure. It's always fun, and it's always great, just like each and every one of you guys. I hope you're feeling like $1,000,000 wherever you are. If you're in Colorado, I hope you have your mucklucks on. If you're in Florida, I hope it's already late in the morning. You're already out, had breakfast and rolling down the road. So let's just get this show on the road and read this book. I'm going to show it to you every day. The Multi-Level Mangler in King Arthur's Court. Before that, you saw it on Masters of Enrollment, and so many of you watched the movie yesterday. It's unbelievable. My feelings aren't hurt anymore. Thank you. But you saw that I put up another book called Plan C by Glenn Head. Glenn Head is the Dean of Networking University, and he just wrote this great little book but that's an overview of network marketing companies and how to look for a great network marketing company. And it just so happens Youngevity it's a river that runs deep through it. It's beautiful, and we wrote the foreword for the book, so you're going to be able to hand people the book and basically introduce Youngevity in the foreword. So it's a great little deal. It's $14.95. He's giving 40% off on that, so it's probably a pretty good deal for you. It's a good little sales tool. So I don't even know. I'll get one, and maybe, I don't know what I'll do. I'm not trying to sell books. It's just another little tool for you. So what I do want to say is good morning, and let's get this show on the road, because a couple of you commented last night that this is going to take a very long time to read, Tom, if you don't start reading. So here we go. Yeah, right, Camelot. Now I knew I was dreaming, but as dreams go, I could do no worse. As we walked, I noticed the fog had lifted, and I could see a large stone surrounding a great castle on the hill before us, just like in the movies. But I was still cold. I first heard the story of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table in Washington when I was 6 or 7 years old. I grew up in a small town in the Columbia Gorge called Stevenson. And Denise said I talk too loud. I'm going to slow down a little bit. I just thought of that. So anyway, is that too loud still, honey?
No, you're good. You're good today.
Okay, good. As kids, in the field across the street from our house, I was Sir Lancelot. My friend Ken Amon was Sir Galahad, and Carlos Salvinson, a devout tomboy, was King Arthur. Well, I don't think this guy does Arthur as well as Carla did. He does have the castle on the hill, and of course that big sword. Pretty cool. I already thought I knew the story, but I couldn't resist the opportunity to hear it from the man himself, so I asked. He told me his birth father was King Uther Pendragon, ruler of all Britain. He'd been at war for many years with the Duke of Tanganil in Cornwall. The Duke's wife, Ingrain, was a very beautiful, and after Uther killed the Duke in battle, he took her for his bride. Of course, she hated him at first, but with the aid of Merlin's magic, Ingrain fell helplessly in love with King Uther, and they lived out their days together, happy and in love. Not without its price, though. In exchange for Ingrain's love, the king had to agree with Merlin that his first son would be raised by another family in ignorance of his birthright until after his real father's death. Merlin took Arthur on the morning of his birth to the home of Sir Ector, who raised him as his own. Years later, as the mourners were leaving the king's funeral at the finest church in the city, St. Paul's, they were confronted with a 4-foot square marble block where none had been before. On top of the marble block was an anvil with a gold inscription. Thrust through the black anvil in the marble block was a beautiful sword with a gold handle. The inscription said, "Whoso pulleth out this sword of this stone, and anyone is anyone's client born of all Britain." I guess it's all weird, and I can't read what that really means, but it looks like there's the sword in the stone. Let me show you this, because this book is beautifully illustrated. And if Greg Arnold did those illustrations, he's now got even more respect from me. They all knelt for they had witnessed a miracle. Their next king would be chosen by the hand of God. As the months passed, as hundreds of knights made their bid to become the divinely chosen king, one by one they tugged and pulled at the great sword, but the miracle didn't happen. Soon the knights became skeptical and quit trying. With no rightful king, the country was quickly divided into many small provinces. The rulers of these provinces soon became involved in a great power struggle, and the country plunged into a long and bloody civil war. After years of bloody feuding, in the spring of 499 AD, the rulers of the 23 major provinces agreed to choose their next king through a great tournament. Sir Ector, who had been living near London, rode to the tournament with Arthur and his other son Sir Kay, who had recently been knighted. They rested at an inn the night before the competition. When they arrived at the site of the tournament for the next morning, Sir Kay found out with great anger that he had left his sword at the inn. He begged Arthur to ride back to the inn and get it for him. Arthur consented, but when he arrived back at the inn, he found the door locked with a sign that read, "Closed, gone to the tournament." Then he had a crazy idea. Since he was determined not to disappoint his brother, he rode to St. Paul's to retrieve the sword from the stone. He had no idea, but he was going to try. When he arrived, he found a great marble block held captive for years by thick growth of ferns and clinging vines. He climbed on top of the block and tore the vegetation away with the sword and the anvil. Got to see how much time I've got. This is getting exciting. After more than an hour of mortal combat with the local flora, he could now begin the job of freeing the sword. He gripped the handle of the magnificent sword tightly with both hands and pulled with all his might. Arthur was the first person to pull on the sword for reasons other than his own selfish desire to be king. In fact, he had no desire to be king at all. He only wanted to help his brother. At first, nothing happened. Relentlessly, he kept pulling with all his strength. Then it felt like it would give. Arthur pulled harder. Then there was a slight grinding sound. Arthur pulled one last time with his last ounce of strength. Reluctantly, the stone and the anvil gave up their long-held prisoner. The sword came free. While there were no cheering crowds or bands of royal trumpeters, they say the angel smiled that moment on the boy as he became the king of all England. Isn't that cool? Arthur might have become king by divine choice, but the 13 years since he had been a constant struggle to reunite his beloved England. The common people of the area never questioned the miracle and accepted Arthur as their king the moment they saw. I'm turning the page and looking at the clock. I'm reading today, boys. I'll tell you. They saw the great sword in his hand, the great golden sword in his hand. As for all the provincial rulers, for one reason or another, they were not quite as quick to accept Arthur as their new king. While some did, most would make it very difficult for him. As difficult as the challenge was, Arthur wouldn't quit until the job got done. The basic story was familiar, but I didn't remember a lot of the details. In fact, I didn't remember that I even knew most of them. All I knew is this had to be a dream, but it seemed so real. Arthur was so young to be so troubled. I don't know why I felt this newfound compassion for another human being, but I wanted to help if I could. Arthur, you seem very worried about something. If I can do anything at all, or if you need someone to talk to, I'm available. He said, sometimes the ear of a stranger is the wisest. I don't know about the wisest part, but I did want to help, so I listened very intently as he told me of the breakthroughs that he felt was imminent. 4 months he and his loyal knights had been negotiating with the rulers of the provinces and had a great gathering that was to be held in 3 nights to present a plan for peace and prosperity. I didn't understand his problem. I told him I thought that was terrific. He said there was a major problem. As he described it, a childhood fairy tale came to life. He said the problem was to who was to seat at the end of the table. The end of the table was reserved for the guest of honor of the most important night. Wars have been started over less. Just when we are so close, how will we all come together in harmony when this great stumbling block is so firmly entrenched in our path? And you know, these are starting to sound like little network marketing problems a little bit. I'm starting to relate to this a little. I couldn't believe it. Something right out of the story I was told as a kid. Since he wasn't there at the time, maybe he hadn't heard the story. What the heck, I went for it. I have an idea, Arthur. Why not build a large round table so everyone is seated at the place of equal prominence? It hit him instantly. His face lit up like a child's on Christmas. He was so excited. You would think it was some sort of significant historic event or something. Who is to say when, where King Arthur would have gotten his inspiration for the round table? So I was there to give history a little help. So, this is a good thing. We're reading the book. We flew through about 3 pages there today, so that's going to move our average up significantly. And I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. It's cold out, so stay in and stay warm unless you want to get cold and then go out there. But whatever it is, choose it today. Whatever it is, have a great day. Whatever it is, make it yours. We'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a minute.